Hi Aquarius, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your August 2026 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a 12 card spread, with each card representing a different house of the zodiac. Starting with your sign, Aquarius is the first house, all the way through to Capricorn, representing the 12. After that, we'll actually pull an oracle card as well for some additional insight. As far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the Hermetic Tarot, and for the oracle deck, we have the Wisdom of the Oracle. We're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology guys we have in front of us to get an idea where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, so we have Cancer, and for you guys, Cancer energy is your sixth house of health, work, and daily routines. Astrologically speaking, we still have Mercury there. There was a Mercury retrograde in there recently, but it will still be in Mercury. Mercury will still be in Cancer until the 8th or 9th of August. On the 11th of August, we'll actually have Mars moving into Cancer as well, so definitely some significant energies there. We have Neptune. So Neptune's actually in Aries, which is your third house of communication, short journeys, and siblings, and it's also retrograde. So there could be maybe a little bit of confusion when it comes to communications for you guys. And we have 12. So 12 house, 12 house energy for you guys is Capricorn. And astrologically speaking, that area of the zodiac is pretty quiet, but your tarot card representing the 12th house looks a little intense too. So, maybe a bumpy ride for you guys as far as spirituality and mental health and blind spots this month. So we'll keep that in mind as we go through the main spread. For your first house, which represents personality, self-awareness, and appearance, we have the Three of Pentacles. So this is actually Capricorn energy here as well. And this deck is referred to as the Lord of Material Work. So yeah, this could just be saying that for a lot of you, you might be trying to build something this month. So yes, for some of you, it can be financial in sense, but whatever the case may be, right, even if it's some kind of a side project you're working on, I feel like this is saying that ultimately you're trying to build something from the ground up, and you want it to be something that's long-lasting as well. For some of you, there could be some collaboration involved in that, but for others of you, you might be doing it solo as well. And I feel like this is something that you've probably thought about for a long time, but now you feel a little bit more willing and able to actually take action on it. For your second house, which points to possession, self-worth, and finances, we have the Princess of Cups. So this is the equivalent to the Page of Cups, and to see this here in the second house could just be saying that, yeah, for some of you, maybe this is a bit of a shift when it comes to your finances, right? Maybe this is something that maybe this is tied to finances for you, and maybe the reason why you're doing it is because it's something you have an emotional connection to, right? Maybe something that's just been coming to your mind as, okay, this is something I want to do, right? But like I said, I feel like you might have thought it through for a while, and now for whatever reason you feel a shift to actually where you are ready to take action on it. All right, so for your third house of communication, short journeys, and siblings, we have the Two of Swords. So this is a Libra energy here, and in this deck it's referred to as the Lord of Peace Restored. So yeah, for some of you, maybe there was some a falling out that you had with someone recently. It could just be saying that now you might be ready to actually extend the olive branch, get things back on track with that person, or maybe even a group of people. But yeah, I feel like this is saying that maybe you've been looking at things from a bit of a different vantage point recently. Now, because of that, you do feel like it's a situation where you'd rather make peace than let the situation linger. For your fourth house energy, which points to home, roots, and family, we have the Sun. So definitely a strong positive energy to see here. But yeah, this could just be saying that maybe when you're within your home environment, you might feel a little bit more sparked creatively. Maybe for some of you, if you're around those closest to you, right, whether they actually be family or just people in your home environment, people might even feel like family if they're not blood family, right? Could just be one of those things where when you're around them, you just might feel reinvigorated and ready to take action on something, which, like we said, could be this project that you're trying to get off the ground. All right, so for your fifth house of romance, creativity, and children, we have the Five of Cups. In this deck, it's referred to as the Lord of Loss and Pleasure. So yeah, so for some of you, And this could mean a few different things. For some of you, could be maybe you have a low libido this month, right? Maybe because your mind is so focused on this thing you're trying to get off the ground that, it's just taking so much of your bandwidth mentally that you're like, yeah, you know what, whatever, that all that could wait for a bit. But if not, that could just be saying that maybe there was something that used to bring you joy in the past, and now you might feel like it's just not quite doing it for you as much anymore. And again, that could also be tied into why you're finally taking action on this thing we see here. So for your sixth house of health, work, and daily routines, we have the Queen of Wands. So this is actually Aries energy here, and in that regard, it's fitting to see this pop up into your sixth house because Aries is ruled by Mars, and as we mentioned earlier, Mars will actually be moving into your sixth house of Cancer on the 11th. So this is just saying that's going to really reinvigorate you, right? So again, I feel like this ties into what we were saying here as well. So looks like it's one of those things where now you're just going to feel that spark to actually take action on something, whereas, for whatever reason, you might have felt like it was a bit more difficult to do so. And maybe it's related to health, right? Because like we said, sixth house could point to health too. So maybe this is saying your health wasn't really cooperating with you being able to take these things on. And if that's the case, you could get a boost in your health that actually makes it easier for you to take those things on now. All right, so for your seventh house of partnerships, contracts, and relationships, we have the Knight of Cups. So generally, this is a Pisces energy. And to see this here, I feel like this is saying that partnerships you do enter into, you want to have that emotional connection, right? So again, when we say partnerships, of course, people think romantic first, but we were just talking about this Princess of Cups energy in your second house of finances, right? So this could be some kind of a financial partnership, whether it be collaboration or signing a contract for work, whatever the case may be. Again, yes, romance is possible as well. Like this is saying that there's going to be that emotional connection and free-flowing energy between you and the other party. For your eighth house, which generally points to death, rebirth, and intimacy, we have the Four of Cups. So Cancerian energy here. And in this deck, it's referred to as the Lord of Blended Pleasure. So yeah, so it could just be one of those things where I feel like this could be, again, pointing possibly to your libido like we talked about, right? So yeah, at least if that's the case, this is saying that you might have your moments, right? Again, so like I said, I feel like it could just be one of those things where it's not going to be a long-standing issue for you guys, but when you hit these moments where you're just so wrapped up in this project that you're trying to get off the ground, right, that you have passion for as far as that goes, then again, maybe the more physical intimacy things might not be as important in that moment, right? But for others, this could just be saying that whatever you'd been investing in the past, right, and that could be, again, what's sparking you to take action in a different area. If you feel like it's not fulfilling like it once was, you might just be looking to move that energy elsewhere. All right, so for your ninth house, which in general points to philosophy, higher learning, and foreign affairs, we have the Ten of Swords. In this deck, referred to as the Lord of Ruin, right? So, somewhat dramatic artwork too while we're at it. But seeing this in your ninth house, the main thing that comes to mind for me is that, well, for one, you guys, at the time of recording this, we're about to have that full moon in your sign tomorrow. And it's going to be rather intense, if we're being honest. So for some of you, it could be as simple as that. You need to get on the other side of that full moon in your sign, and things could start to improve from there. But if it's not really pointing to that, another thing that comes to mind too is you guys just had the North Node recently enter into your sign. Now, the North Node, about an 18-month-long transit through your sign. In the early stages, it could feel more Saturnian than anything, so there could be a bit of a heaviness with it, right? Because it's really challenging you to make some changes to things. And for some of you, that could be related to your beliefs. So in the early stages of it, it could feel a little bit disruptive, but ultimately, it really is for growth and improvement. So at least in the early stages, you might feel a little bit overwhelmed, right? Maybe you feel that your beliefs are being challenged in some way, even if not from someone directly. Maybe things in your environment are now calling your beliefs into question as far as like, okay, this is something I've held as a belief for a long time, but now I see this situation playing out that makes me question that, right? So naturally that could throw people for a loop. But yeah, I feel like for a lot of you, it won't be clear to people on the external level that this is what you're feeling, But I feel like internally you're more likely to be going through that at least temporarily. Like I said, for some of you, maybe you get lucky and that energy clears quickly with that full moon. All right, so for your 10th house of career and social status, we have the Nine of Pentacles. So this is a Virgo energy here, and it's referred to as the Lord of Material Gain. So if nothing else, right, that should give you some confidence that this thing that you seem to be working on here is going to pay off in a positive way. And this also gives me an indicator that for some of you, this could be more of a solo journey, right? Or even if not solo, right, more of a tight partnership. So maybe if not you're doing it solo, maybe there's a couple of people involved, right, but not necessarily a more traditional big career path type of deal. I feel like this is more of a small business entrepreneurial type thing. But regardless, it looks like there would be some positive momentum and success there, which is the most important part. So for your 11th house of friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have the Wheel of Fortune. This is Jupiter energy. And for you guys, your 11th house is Sagittarius, which is the natural ruler of Jupiter. Jupiter is rather the ruler of Sagittarius. So to see this here looks like a positive indicator that I feel like this is saying that the groups you deal with, your friendships, are going to be a source of positive influence for you guys this month. So even if you do go through some bumps in the road, looks like there are going to be some people that you could turn to actually help you feel more optimistic around the situation. All right, and for the 12th house energy, which we saw with the dice as well, we have the Blasted Tower. So yeah, again, to me, this could be an indicator that for some of you, it could be as early as that full moon in your sign that you might really start to feel this energy. Now, it's not going to be one of those energies that you're going to be happy about, but seeing it in the 12th house to me gives me a feeling that whatever this tower moment is, it will be overdue, right? So like I said, whether it's a belief that you might have held that now you're realizing doesn't fit anymore, then it probably needed to go, right? Is it going to feel comfortable in the meantime? Probably not. But resentment could even be a limiting belief that you might have held for yourselves for a while, right? And now that you're letting that limiting belief go, that is why you're able to say, okay, I'm finally going to take action on this thing that I've believed in for a long time and get that rolling. So that would be the more positive way it could play out. But yeah, 12th house energy, to me, this could be the blockage that we were seeing, right? Like I said, for whatever reason, maybe your health was not in the ideal state, so that's why you couldn't take action on this situation earlier. But now as it's improving, you're able to do so, right? Whatever the case may be. For the majority of you, it does look like it will be positive, but yeah, I feel like it'll be a bumpy ride in the meantime to get you on the other side of that. All right, and for the bottom of the deck, we have the Devil. So this is Capricorn energy, and for you guys, that is your 12th house. So again, I feel like there's that connection there to what I was saying with the Tower. So yeah, I feel like for a lot of you, that Tower moment's going to point to something that's you've had difficulty shaking, right? Maybe for some of you, there wasn't even an awareness that it was something that you needed to shake. But again, like I said, seeing that Ten of Swords where it is, seeing the Blasted Tower into 12, seeing this at the bottom of the deck, I feel like this is ultimately something that did need to go. So again, might not feel great in the moment, but once it clears, I feel like you're going to see improvement. But we'll see what the Oracle card has to mix. So I'm going to give this a few shuffles, then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. All right, take this card, get this out of the way, and see what you got. All right, we have the Fates. There's the artwork and the number 17. So yeah, so seeing this, I feel like this is pointing to some of what I was saying there, right? It seems like something that needed to go is going to go soon. Again, like I said, more than likely the main thing sparking that. The full moon might be the starting point for some of you, given that full moon's going to be close to Pluto. That's retrograde in your sign, and there's some other things going on with that. But more than anything, I feel like the North Node moving into your sign is really what's the main spark behind it. But we'll see what it says in the book. All right, essential meanings says fate, karma, acceptance that there are things you cannot change, and knowing what those things are. The Oracle's message. The Serenity Prayer sums up the meaning of this card. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There are things in life you will never have control over. The conditions brought on by the evolution of the collective, by nature, and by your past experiences may be fated, preordained by spirit for a greater purpose you cannot understand in this lifetime. It may not be in your cards to understand why certain events occurred, but you can accept the mystery and work with what those events and your current circumstances have to teach you. This is the wisdom contained in the Serenity Prayer. So yeah, again, like I said, I feel like for some of you, the full moon energy leading into now having the North Node in your sign, those two things are intertwined. For some of you, it could even carry over until, we'll have eclipse season basically kicking in as well. So there's definitely some intense energies, don't get me wrong. But I really do feel like these are things that, even if in the moment you don't realize it, in hindsight, you look back like, okay, maybe these things were overdue to go anyway. And then once that clears, you'll feel a sense of relief and forward momentum. The relationship message says other people are who they are. You can't change them. The challenge is to accept them as they are and not try to make them otherwise to suit you. This is a time to look at how you attempt to mold people to fit your view of how they should be so you can remain in the relationship and avoid discomfort. What if who they are and whatever is happening between you and them in this situation is perfect from the perspective of spirit? Now is the time to accept what you cannot change, even if it means that you honor yourself, spirit, and the other person by moving on. Love unconditionally, for each of us are on our own journey, and we cannot direct that of another. Be aware that this relationship is indeed fated, and you are meant to evolve into a better version of yourself as a result of it. So yeah, definitely an interesting message there, right? Because thinking of that in the context of a relationship, right? Maybe that could be pointing to why we were talking about. There could be this feeling of a loss of libido, right? Feeling like you're not able to connect with the situation anymore. So if that's the case, that's your situation. Hopefully that resonated. All right, and the prosperity message says your experiences concerning prosperity and abundance are beyond your personal control right now. You're being invited to accept what is unreservedly. This could be a temporary situation seemingly thrust upon you by outside forces, but there is an underlying purpose you can't see that has been determined by the fates. You could be in a situation that you aren't prepared for, and you may not understand how it will benefit you in a moment. Do not fight the situation. Ride it out and see where it leads. Surrender to it, and the serenity you need to make good choices from here on out will be given to you. You will indeed flourish. So yeah, so that one there actually does make me think that the full moon that's going to be taking place in your sign coming up in the next day here is definitely going to kick this thing off, at least to an extent. Again, and that goes back to, like I said, it's going to be close to Pluto, and then we have Jupiter in the mix as well, so there's going to be some tense aspects going on with that, but again, I feel like they really are going to clear things out in a positive sense in the long run, but, kind of like maybe if you have wisdom teeth that are bothering you, right, and, they're annoying, then getting them pulled is hell, but then once you're finally healed up, you're like, okay, glad that that's taken care of, right? So it could be something like that. Maybe for some of you, actually your wisdom teeth, but that was just a random example that came to mind. But yeah, hopefully that resonated with you guys, and we'll wrap up there. All right, bye.